Conspiracy theories are most often a smokescreen to divert us from the true evil.
My dad was right. This family's money is dirty.
Imagination is far more fascinating than reality.
Welcome to Working for Uncle Henry, the podcast. I'm the series author and your host, Angela Mullins. Well, while there is at least a smidgen of truth in most of my storylines, Alan Turing's mysterious journal mentioned here is completely made up. Well, as far as I know, anyway. Chapter 21. An authentic French breakfast of almond scones, jam, butter, and café crème awaited them in the kitchen. Jacques' extracurricular activities apparently not interfering with his houseboy duties. Parker and Jennifer left in a dusty Range Rover parked out front. Jennifer proved to be a confident, fast driver, which made the 2-hour trip along the A7 to Lyon go by quicker. The fact that Parker had flown into Lyon, driven to Pont-Saint-Esprit, and now back to Lyon frustrated him. More of Henry's games. Les Pouces du Canal, situated along the river in the heart of Lyon, was one of the biggest antique markets in France. Orderly rows of cargo vans, trailers, and tents displayed most anything imaginable. Parker rolled up his shirt sleeves to compensate for this beautiful 70-degree day, then tossed his backpack over one shoulder. Jennifer grabbed a white Petra Market tote bag from the back of the Rover. Parker frowned. "What's that for?" "Shopping." "We're not here to shop." "Yes, we are." He shot her a questioning glare. "We can't go straight after the book." As much as Parker hated to admit it, she was right, and he conceded to himself anyway. The reason Uncle Henry kept connecting him with Jennifer on these jobs. Rows of vans with doors and hatches open, full of wares, lined the aisles of 1,000 or so vendors. Many had awnings shading tables, filled with everything from pottery to paintings to Art Deco pieces and rugs. Studious buyers ranging from expert dealers to couples pushing baby carriages bartered for their desired items. The enormity of the market created the quandary of how they would locate their desired item.
Any idea where to go?
No. Henry didn't tell you.
I didn't even know we were coming here.
Well, I guess we'll figure it out. Her casual attitude didn't set well with Parker. He really wanted to get this one right. Relax. You're in France. For Christ's sake, enjoy yourself. He tried. He saw a table of old books and walked over to examine them. Maybe the Turing journal was one just lying on a table. For a fleeting moment, he entertained the idea he might find something of interest to Henry. He gingerly thumbed through one and realized a few months of working for Uncle Henry did not make him a rare book buyer. Jennifer, on the other hand, was pleased Parker had been sucked into the excitement of the market. They continued their stroll through the rows of dealers. A set of 19th century ormolu-mounted potpourri urns caught Jennifer's eye. "Wait here." She approached the merchant and flirted shamelessly. "Décor, s'il vous plaît?" She pouted. The young merchant hesitated, then smiled back. "Décor," he said with a nod. "Ooh!" She bounced with joy and pulled out a wad of euros from her bag. Parker watched from the next stand over and shook his head in amazement at her schoolgirlish fakery. The vendor wrapped the urns in newspaper, and Jennifer stuffed them into her bag. She walked by Parker, and he fell into step with her to continue their shopping.
"You should be in Hollywood," he quipped.
"But real life is much more fun," she replied with a sly grin. A few merchants over, a creaky, heavy French accent cried out to them.
"Like a bit of letters and numbers, you two?"
The voice belonged to an elderly, crusty old woman standing behind a table of various-sized wooden boxes. Parker and Jennifer exchanged looks.
"Tu parles anglais?"
the woman asked. She straightened up, shoved her chubby hands into the front pockets of her apron, and smiled proudly. Parker and Jennifer walked closer. "How did you know we were American?" Jennifer asked.
"Ah."
She wagged her finger at them and smiled, revealing a dingy set of crooked teeth.
"And I may reveal my secrets now?"
She lowered her voice to a whisper. "But I think I have a piece of English literature you might like." She motioned with a subtle curl of her arthritic knotted fingers for them to follow her around to the passenger side of her yellow Nissan van. She brushed away a brown bag, empty paper cups, and other assorted trash, and pulled a brown leather satchel from under the passenger seat. "There's nonsense in here, if you ask me." She patted the satchel. "But the colonel seemed eager to get it." She opened the flap and allowed them to peek inside. The bag held a thin, hardback book. Parker reached in to take it out, but the old woman snapped the flap over his hand and pulled the bag away. "Passez vite, garçon." Parker jerked his hand back and asked Jennifer, "What'd she say?" "We don't get to see what we're buying," Jennifer asked the old woman. Parker frowned at Jennifer. "Would you know if it was the right item or if it's genuine?" The old woman added. "What's she saying?" Parker asked again, getting more annoyed. Jennifer sighed. "She wants her money." "Money? You don't have money?" "I never carry money. Uncle Henry always takes care of that." Jennifer shrugged. "Well, she's asking for money." Parker's encrypted phone vibrated in his pocket. He took it out and opened the notification he had received, a simple button labeled Transfer Money. He showed it to Jennifer. "Right on time," she said, then smiled at the woman. He showed the message to the old woman. She nodded and took out her own phone. Parker tapped the button. Seconds later, the woman's phone notified her of the transfer. She smiled, put her phone away, and handed over the satchel. They shook hands, bid their farewells, and walked away. "Why is everything with Henry so dramatic?" "Well, it's kind of fun, don't you think?" Parker cut his eyes at her. "So you think it's all fun?" "Well, I'm sure he has his reasons." "Everybody seems to be pretty trusting of Uncle Henry's oddness." "You don't trust him?" "I don't know." "Yet you're still working for him." Parker had struggled with that fact numerous times and wasn't sure why he was still living at the estate and working for his uncle. He hadn't even tried to find another teaching job, or any job for that matter. Finally, he replied to Jennifer, "I don't know the answer to that either." Jennifer looped her arm in his and pulled him close to her side. "I think you enjoy it," she said with an air of satisfaction. "The travel, the clandestine adventures, the hint of danger. Seeing me." She turned to meet Parker's eyes and flashed that beguiling smile she wielded so well. He looked away without a response, and Jennifer resumed perusing the merchant tables until spotting a face she'd seen before a few booths over. She jerked Parker over behind the nearest van and out of direct sight and kissed him. Her hands had a firm grip on his face, but Parker managed to pull his head away and grab her forearms. "What are you doing?" "I don't want him to see you," she whispered, peeking around Parker's head. The man was still just in her line of sight. "What? Who?" Parker turned his head to catch a glimpse behind him, but Jennifer tightened her grip on his face. "He's from Rolling Rivers. Henry introduced me to him New Year's Eve. He owns the Chesapeake Club and a few other clubs and casinos on the East Coast, I believe." "That Zachary guy?" He started to turn his head again, but Jennifer stopped him. "Don't turn around." "What if he sees you? You're a lot more recognizable. I haven't even met him." "It's okay if he recognizes me. My being here is not unusual, but just in case he does know who you are." She brought her face close to his. Only the slightest wisp stood between their lips. "You'll be my boyfriend," she said with a grin. "You don't do boyfriends, remember? I'm undercover." Parker smirked and rolled his eyes. "I have a better idea. There's a baseball cap in my backpack." Jennifer reached around him. "Allow me," she breathed in his ear. She unzipped the top pocket on his backpack, retrieved the cap, and pulled it down low over his eyes. Jennifer glanced back at Zachary and remarked, as much to herself as to Parker, "What is Simon Zachary doing here?" "Why, are you suspicious of him?" "I don't know. A coincidence, I guess. But There is something discreetly odd about him, if that makes sense. I mean, he's wearing tinted glasses. He was wearing them New Year's Eve, too, inside at night. You know, Henry thinks he killed that Qatar. Jennifer turned to look Parker in the eyes. Really? Then turned her eyes back to Zachary, trying to resolve this nondescript man from New Year's Eve being a murderer.
Apparently because you were snooping in his cell phone.
I've never been an accomplice to a murder before. At least not that I know of.
I don't think that makes you an accomplice. Do you do that kind of thing a lot?
Seduce men to gain information?
Well, that's not exactly how I'd put it, but
he snuck a peek at Zachary.
You think he's following us?
Why would he do that? She asked, then reconsidered. Well, I suppose he could be following me. You know, like a stalker.
Parker smirked. Okay, let's assume he's not a stalker. Why else would he be here on the other side of the world in the same out-of-the-way place you and I are? Because of you in Qatar? What you may have seen on his phone? Or what he thinks you may have seen?
Jennifer shrugged. I didn't really see anything. I just cloned his phone with one Henry gave me.
Huh? Really?
Parker was impressed with her bit of spy work.
What do you think we should do? Why don't we follow him? See where he goes next.
But if he's following us, won't he be waiting for us to leave first? The two had gotten lost in their conversation and missed Zachary's encounter with the old woman at the yellow van. Jennifer looked up in time to see him walk away. Wait, he's leaving. Come on. She grabbed Parker's arm and they hurried toward the Range Rover. Okay, time to address Parker and Jennifer's relationship. It's complicated, but it isn't sexual. Jennifer is a tease and a flirt, so everything she does comes off as sexual. Bottom line, she just likes taunting Parker. They are drawn to each other very much because they see something in the other they desire. Parker is enamored with her casual, free spirit, and Jennifer is fascinated with his spirituality. You'll see that gradually unfold. Very gradually. Thanks for listening. Let me know what you think about the podcast in the comments and share it with a friend.